Hi, everyone. My name is Suzanne Hume, and I'm the Educational Director and founder of CleanEarthForKids.org. We're so glad that you could join us tonight. Thank you so much. We know your time is precious and valuable, and we're so happy that you're here spending it with us. So tonight, we will have Anna share lots of important information, and Michael and Cheyenne are here as well. We'll be joined by John Williams and John Bodhor, and Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, and our consultant, Yusuf Miller. All right, so to get started, we will begin with Anna.
Yes, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Suzanne, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna. I'm an intern here at Clean Earth for Kids, working primarily with Teams 3 and Teams 5. Again, we'd like to thank you for being with us tonight. We will also be talking about environmental justice, air pollution, and others to give you tools to find out the air quality for your area and to be able to check the air quality in other areas. So tonight we will share links in the chat to EnviroScreen 4.0 and Tracking California now so that you can go into the tools and look up how it can be most useful to you. We actually will be going through the steps tonight. We will also share the State of the Air report by the American Lung Association, and I will be putting that link in the chat as well this evening. So first, I'd like to talk a little bit about trackingcalifornia.org, which in California is a tool that anyone can use to get more information about pollution. The first one that I'll be talking about is the Tracking California Agricultural Pesticide Mapping Tool, which the first step is to enter your city, town, or zip code into the search bar on the top right-hand corner. The mapping tool will then update for that area, and it'll prompt you to click on a square to get more information. And the tool will then provide us information on the summed pounds of pesticides, the treated acres, and the rate, which is pounds divided by acre. The legend on the bottom right is really helpful to gauge the amount of pesticides used in that area. And you can also look further into time series tables and charts, and also the top 10 pesticides used in that area, in that square. So next slide will show what that top 10 pesticides will look like. Yes.
Fabulous. And I love this tool. It's been very helpful to us to figure out where pesticides are being used. And you can see below on the descriptor there about which of these, which pesticides are neonics, toxic air contaminants. You can see the categories and the sum, and it's just quite incredible. So we encourage all of you to go to trackingcalifornia.org. Tracking California also has important information on air pollution and lead and lots of other important things. And now back to Anna so she can share more. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Yes, so that is the Tracking California mapping tool. And next, another great tool we'll be talking about is EnviroScreen 4.0. I'll also be sharing that link in the chat. But what this tool is useful is to search for any place in the area, California, and then you can also search, as here we show San Diego, and you can click on the area to get more information about the pollution burden in that area. As you can see here, you can look at the ozone, the PM 2.5, all the little tabs on the top ledge there. And then that is a really cool tool that provides us an abundance of data. So yes, I'll be sharing those links in the chat this evening. And next, I'd like to discuss further about Clean Earth for Kids, where we have 6 teams: climate action, protecting public lands, wildlife, and planting trees and gardens; protecting clean air and water, and green spaces and parks from pollution, pesticides, and plastics. And as always, racial, social, climate, and environmental justice are vital to everything that we do. Also at Clean Earth for Kids, we have a focus on action plans, which is on the homepage of our website at cleanearthforkids.org. The action plan lists goals such as setting 100% renewable energy and creating the climate action plan, planting trees, gardens, parks, indoor plants, also to protect clean air and provide green transportation options for cities in California. So this is really important to protect our communities and our future. And we are very glad you're here to help talk about this and spread awareness. And we are forever grateful for your support. Also at Clean Earth for Kids, we have many community service opportunities. We welcome students to earn community service by taking notes, creating infographics, art, music, video clips, poetry about what you learned, and all more information can be found at cleanearthforkids.org. And I think, Suzanne, if you wanted to
share something. I'm so excited about the fantastic students and interns, youth, and volunteers of all ages, because we're multi-generational. So that we have at Clean Earth for Kids. We're welcoming our new interns on, and we have some really creative people who are excited to illustrate some of the books that we're working on and do film. And as always, whatever, if you can think of a great contest or activity or something that you would like us to talk about, then let us know. On that note, coming soon, not yet, but coming soon, we will be hosting Sandra Stahl and the important work that is being done about lead, because we know there's no safe level of lead. So what her organization is doing over there with Montgomery Gibbs is making sure that we talk about the problem of small planes. Some of the small planes, guys, they don't take unleaded gas. So what does that mean? That leaves us with a lot of lead, right? So that goes everywhere, lead dust, this and that. So we have a lot of work to do. So we need to roll up our sleeves. So excited for all of you to work with us, and just let us know if you're interested in community service or if you'd like to volunteer with us. We have an application on our website, as Anna has said. So back to you, Anna. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. In addition to the community service that you can do, we also welcome you to visit our cleanearthforkids.org YouTube channel, which also has the videos of our panel discussions weekly. We also welcome college students or adults to fill out an application to intern or volunteer with us, as Suzanne has mentioned. Yes. So next, I'll be talking a little bit about the contests and challenges that we host here at Clean Earth for Kids. If you go to our contest page at cleanearthforkids.org, you'll see a variety of contests like art, music, writing, poetry, dance, STEM projects, infographics, presentations, and more. If you love to write poetry, we have a contest for you. You can check out our cleanearthforkids.org Team 5 or YouTube channel for more information and videos. And so next, I'd actually like to introduce Cheyenne to talk about the Protect What You Love and Picture It challenge.
Hi, I'm Cheyenne. I am on Team 2. I work to protect forests, wildlife, plants, gardens, and trees. You can protect what you love by sending us your picture or drawing of what you love and why you should protect it. Let's work together to protect our forests, national parks, wildlife, clean water, clean air, oceans, rivers, streams, and on your health. You can take a picture or draw or write about your favorite animal or place and why we should protect it. We can post on our website and social media to bring awareness and work to protect nature and our environment. A few weeks ago, I went out into nature to a park and the beach to take pictures and learn about nature. You can also post the pictures you see in nature. We call this picture. You can do a natural journal and sketch, identify, and record what you see in nature. Our board member Jay still has the nature journal he made years ago when he was on a trip to Australia. And here's Anna.
Yes, thank you, Cheyenne. Next, I'd like to introduce the Today Is contest, which is a contest to show your art, music, videos, research reports, and many more. So you could teach us about what important things happened on that day. So just for the month of May, we have World Asthma Day, International Day of Biological Diversity, World Turtle Day, and also World No Tobacco Day. So these are just a couple of the really cool days happening in the month of May. And if you'd like to participate by talking about them, we'd love to hear from you.
And I'd like to give a quick shout out to Alicia for her her video that she made, Smoking is Not Coping, that we have presented on our page under Team 3. So very important that she did this adorable video, and I know Elijah did amazing graphics, and everybody is just working so hard. So we want to make sure we remind everyone smoking is not coping. We have lots of other things to do. Let's get outside. So excited. And I wanted to say about this Today Is contest. It's so fun because you can do, like Anna was saying, a video clip. So you can talk about today is World Turtle Day. You can draw it, you can do a video clip, however you would like to do. And then it pops up on our website. So when people click it, then there you are, dun, 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 dun. So it makes it lots of fun. So thank you so much. So I would like to introduce now Michael.
Hi, I am Michael, and I would like to talk about why clean air is important. Clean air is important because everyone needs clean air to breathe to be healthy. We need rules and laws to not allow people or corporations to pollute the air. Also, there are things that we can do. We can learn about how to stop air pollution and tell others. We have no idling contest for K through 12 students who would like students to make no idling signs to remind people to turn off their engines when they are parked. Also, we would like cities, schools, businesses to post no idling signs, parking lots to remind people to turn their engines off when they are parked. Hannah wrote a no idling essay about reasons why we should turn off our cars because car exhaust is toxic and air pollution and car exhaust from idling is really bad for you. And air pollution is harmful to people and bee insects, trees, insects, birds, and animals that pollinate our plants and crops. We have information now our no idling page on our cleanerforkids.org website. This week we support an ordinance law for the city of Los Angeles to stop vehicle idling and to educate the public about the dangers of idling. We did not get the ordinance or law passed yet because we did get the educational part passed. Thanks to our friend Robin Strickler who took action and started this important work in LA. We hope an ordinance or law is passed to stop car idling because car idling emits toxic pollution that can harm to children, families, seniors, wildlife, and entire ecosystems. We need to reduce air pollution and protect children's health. And here's Cheyenne. Thank you, Michael. Every year in the U.S., idling causes 30 million tons of CO2. Please pass this motion and take this step to reduce pollution and address climate change now. Los Angeles has some of the worst air quality in the country. Stopping idling is a direct way to help reduce the pollution and help protect children's health. Air pollution triggers asthma, which disproportionately affects communities of color. Asthma is number one reason children miss school and the third leading reason why children under 15 are hospitalized. Pollution is a racial, social, and environmental social injustice issue. Please vote yes. And here's Anna.
Yes, thank you, Cheyenne and Michael. We are very concerned about air pollution harming people's health. We have seen the San Diego air pollution data from EnviroScreen and TrackingCalifornia.org. And did you know that San Diego has the sixth worst ozone pollution in the United States? Ozone is when air pollution mixes with sunlight. So last week, we talked about the State of the Air report by the American Lung Association, which I have put in the chat earlier. And on the website, you can find grades and rankings for the cleanest or most polluted place to live. You can use this tool by selecting your location to view the state of the air in your country, or in your county, state, and or city. There are times like during wildfires when the air quality is especially bad for your health. And although for the average individual, air quality does not immediately cause sudden impacts, it does have long term effects on your body and can enter your airways and your systems. So, in particular, we also need to pay attention to those most susceptible to air quality, namely the elderly, people with sensitive airways, and those with respiratory problems. So, much research is still currently being done to investigate the potential effects of these particulate matter. Cheyenne, can you please tell everyone what air pollution is?
Yes, thank you, Anna. Air pollution is a mix of particulate matter and gases that can be dangerous to our health.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Cheyenne. So, particulate matter is a combination of small particles and liquid droplets. This combination is harmful as they can include acids like nitrate and sulfates, organic chemicals, metals, soil, and dust. So, some of these combinations can be really small, and some of them cannot be seen with the human eye. You will hear the term PM 2.5 used a lot to describe particulate matter. It is really, really very small and far smaller than the width of the human hair. So you really can't see it. And next, I'll be talking about the AQI, or the Air Quality Index, which monitors the 5 major air pollutants we regulate in the United States. So the lower the number, the better. And you can also use apps on your phone to show you the air quality in your area. So there is the Air Bubbles app on most phones that you can use to check the air quality in your area. It is also listed as part of the Facts and the Weather app. Another thing that's important to keep in mind is to keep the air quality in your house good as well. So you can do this by making sure that if you use gas stoves, to keep windows open when you're cooking, and to pay attention to any sprays and cleaning solutions used indoors, such as bleach and wipes. Yeah. So it's really important. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
No,
Anna.
it's okay.
Yeah, so it's very important to take this action. I love air bubbles. I don't know if you guys have air bubbles on your phone, but it's so fun to see the beautiful air in the blue color there, and it's really disheartening to see the other colors of air that you can see on the screen in front of you. Some of that air in China and Beijing. So when you go, and also in South America, you can see that as well. When there are wildfires, the numbers increase. And also, if you go and you figure out where, Google Earth, etc., a lot of times it's the coal plants. So when you find it, the source, you go to the area, obviously, of the problem. And is it a wildfire? Is it a coal plant? So we absolutely have to take action. And in a minute, Cheyenne and Anna, Michael, everybody, all of us are going to talk about this action at UNC, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. One of our interns goes to school there. And it doesn't make us very happy to think about our fantastic intern and any of the children living there being exposed to coal. So when coal burns, it is very, very toxic. Mercury is emitted, and there's no safe level of mercury or safe level of lead. And other things as well. So this is really upsetting to us that this is happening on the campus of University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And so this week, we were on the call, I think it was 2 days ago, on the call to try to talk with them, to ask them to stop this coal plant. We can make comments until Friday. So tomorrow at 2 p.m. if you're in California, and 5 p.m. if you're over on the East Coast. So we're going to put that in the chat. Anna can put that in the chat so you can make sure and do that comment in a minute. But before we hop on and do that, our consultant, one of our fabulous consultants is here, Yusuf Miller. And I know he doesn't have long to stay, but Yusuf, I would love to hear from you. If you would like to talk with us, and we can just put the slide up with environmental justice if we can. So Yusuf, knowing that there are children and families living in areas near coal plants and other environmental hazards, what is your response to that, and what would you like to say?
Thank you for giving me a time to speak here. And when it comes to our quality of air, this is not by accident. These are these micro communities, which by design of redlining and forcing people of color in undesirable areas and tracts of land is a thing that has an impact on humanity. It's an inhumane type of byproduct of this artificial environment. When it comes to Black and Brown peoples and our indigenous brothers and sisters who are on tracts of land that they want to run fracking and have oil pipelines go through. This is very damaging and toxic to the human body, and not just the human being, the environment in general, the plants, the animals, the insects, the everything that we can think of that's a biological creature is destroyed by this. And our air quality is something that we all need. So not only are we destroying the environment and the animals, but we have taken human beings and pushed them into a very toxic air environment, a bubble of particulates that really damages the youth and their lungs as they're developing with asthma and all kinds of reactive airway diseases, and also with the intense air quality when it comes to our elderly, in the hot summers where the air is thicker and we have a lot of pollutants in the air.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. So at Clearing for Kids, environmental justice is rooted in all that we do. So you can see the 6 teams up here, and so grateful for everyone on this call. So Yusuf, would you like to share a little bit about NAACP and your plans for the Environmental Justice Committee?
Yes, as the chair for the NAACP, the North County San Diego NAACP Environmental Justice Committee, we are a part of and affiliated with Clean Earth for Kids. And the environmental justice aspect that the NAACP is involved in is trying to make local, state, and national changes when it comes to environmental justice. And this team is part of a strong allyship that is working towards that end. There are bills and acts that we need to be involved in, that we need to make sure our voices are heard, our votes go in the right direction so that we can make real change when it comes to our environment. We have a lot of work to undo that has been spoiled by this previous administration, and we want to make sure that we undo that and move forward as quick as possible.
Yes, thank you so much. And we have a lot of info on our website, Clearing for Kids, on the homepage. If you scroll down about the rollbacks during the Trump administration, 104 rollbacks, and talking about how that affected people's ability to stop polluting projects because of the cuts for NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act that we have had, that is foundational and landmark for our country, that we have had, like I said, for decades, and slashes to cuts in protections and rollbacks in the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. And it was just absolutely so devastating to us to watch all of these cuts. Thankfully, we worked with Harvard Law School and Columbia Law School and many others who cutting edge kept us up to date on all of these rollbacks and the legal implications. And then, thank goodness, Earth Justice was right there suing the Trump administration for these rollbacks. In the state of California, Javier Becerra sued the Trump administration over 100 times for these rollbacks. So we have some information on our homepage about that. And just every day that I wake up, I am thankful. I am so grateful that we do not have to deal with these rollbacks. And thankfully, the Biden administration is trying to correct many of these rollbacks. We still need help with the Dakota Access Pipeline that President Obama stopped, but Trump brought it back. So we still need to push on that, because everyone has a right to have clean air, clean water. And this is really an example of racial injustice, what is happening. And you can find out more information on that on Team 4 with Clean Earth for Kids, or Google Standing Rock or DAPL. someone will put some information into the chat for you. So I know, Yusuf, our time is limited as you are a very busy person. I would like to ask what other additional comments that you would like to make. And then when you're finished, if you can pass it over to Cheyenne, and she's going to talk about how we all need to write this comment in to make sure we get it in to stop this coal plant in North Carolina. So Yusuf, I'll hand it over to you.
Oh, I would just like to say that legislation is the key. We have to make sure that we put to our elected officials our needs and desires for clean earth, for clean air, and a clean environment. We cannot afford to have friendships when the earth is in jeopardy. So even though we prefer and like what Biden is doing, we have to hold him accountable, and Kamala Harris in the highest office of this nation, to make sure that they are doing what we need to do as far as environmental and earth justice. It's not about friendships, it's not about alliances, it is about the earth. And we're going to stick together for the earth. And from there, I'll turn it over to Cheyenne.
Thank you, Yusuf. Please take this action. Please email a public comment to stop the coal permit of the UNC Chapel Hill campus by Friday, May 7th by 2 p.m. Sample comment: Dear NC Department of Air Quality, please deny the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill's permit to burn coal on their college campus. Please do not allow UNC to continue to harm public health, pollute the air, water, and land with toxic chemicals, including brain-damaging mercury and lead. The University of North Carolina has been breaking the Clean Air Act. Please cancel the UNC permit now. UNC has failed to listen and protect the health of students, the community, including 2 historical Black neighborhoods affected, the city of Chapel Hill, NC, and nearby cities, etc. The Center of Biological Studies and the Sierra Club are suing. While other universities across the world are divesting from fossil fuels, UNC Chapel Hill burns coal on its campuses and is applying for a permit to burn every more coal. Please vote no, deny the permit to UNC. And here's Anne. Oh, sorry, and here's Michael.
Last week, we talked about environmental justice, means the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people regardless of race, color, national origin, or income. And here's Cheyenne.
This is important. So environmental justice is when environmental laws, regulations, and policies are followed. Everyone needs them. The same degree of protection from environmental and health hazards and equal access to decision-making process to have a healthy environment in which to live, learn, work. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Shan. Last week, we learned about redlining. Can you please tell us about redlining?
Yes, Michael, thank you. Redlining is a discriminatory practice that puts services like home and business loans or insurance out of reach of people who live in certain areas based on their race or ethnicity backgrounds. It also includes loan rates and terms. Why was it called redlining? Redlining is when red marks on maps were made to show where people lived that were not white that would be allowed to live in 1930s. People living in these areas with the red marks or redlining areas cannot get help from federal programs like the Homeowners Loan Corporation and the Federal Housing Administration. Redlining is now illegal, but it still happens, and the families that were denied these loans almost 100 years ago are still feeling the economic impacts. And here's Anna.
Yes, thank you, Cheyenne. So next, I'd like to talk about another action to ask the Congress to support President Biden's 100% clean electricity by 2035. So this would remove fossil fuels, decarbonization from the electric grid by 2035, and would create 500,000 to 1 million new jobs. fossil fuel pollution causes the premature death of 1 out of every 5 deaths globally and 1 out of 10 in the United States. So your participation in this petition would be much, much appreciated and would get us a step in the right direction. And I'll be including that petition in the chat. And here is Cheyenne to talk about another action we can take.
Thank you, Anna. Here is another action you can take. Please ask Congress to support the Clean School Bus Act. This provides grants for school districts to replace diesel with electric buses and build charging stations. More than 25 million children ride diesel school buses every day. Diesel pollution can increase risk of lung cancer, heart disease, and trigger asthma attacks. Asthma is the #1 reason children miss school and the 3rd leading reason why children under 15 are hospitalized. Anna will share the link in the petition link in the chat. Now here's John to talk about burning plastics.
Hi, everyone. So this is John. I want to talk to you a little bit about a term you'll hear here and there about what's called waste to energy. And the big part of it is they're talking about burning plastics, which comes from our landfills and our trash piles. So there's a big problem with this because the gases and the particles from burning plastic are very toxic, as they are the residue of the powerful chemicals and solvents used to make them. So in January 2019, a group of petrochemical and consumer goods companies called the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, including Exxon, Dow, Total, Shell, Chevron Phillips, and Procter & Gamble, committed to spending $1.5 billion over 5 years. One of their stated goals is to promote technologies that use plastics as energy. That means burning plastic. Most of those companies are fossil fuel companies. They make money by selling oil and gasoline. So at the same time that this alliance is being formed, these same companies are spending over $180 billion to expand their plastic production. So while they are saying that they are committing to take care of plastic and reduce it, that's not what they're actually doing. They're actually spending money to increase making more plastic because they make money by selling more plastic. So one of the proposals, right, is to build these big incinerator plants. So these big factory-looking things that burn plastic and other waste. So, the first problem is, where do you put the incinerator? And you can see from this picture the size of these big piles of trash. So they have to build these incinerators near landfills, or huge trucks have to take all the trash there. A lot of these plants will burn up to 1,000 tons of trash a day, and that's a lot of trash. So the burning process puts out a lot of smoke and toxins. In the past, these type of plants would be put in neighborhoods of mostly low-income people of color. So that's wrong. It goes against the racial, social, environmental justice that we were just talking about. And here's another picture where you can see in the bottom right, particularly as they start to burn this. So all these toxins and all this pollution starts to come up. And studies have shown that recycling plastic waste saves more energy than it does by burning it, because the main goal is to reduce the need to drill and pipe out fossil fuels and make it into new plastics. That takes more energy than it does to burn it. And lastly, from a health standpoint, waste to energy plants put out carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas, along with really toxic pollutants like dioxins, acid, and heavy metals. You'll hear talk about high-tech scrubbers and filters that are available, but the World Energy Council stated in a 2017 report, quote, "These technologies are useful as long as the combustion plants are properly operated and emissions controlled," unquote. So as long as the filters are working, sure, maybe it will work. But history has shown that a lot of these plants, the scrubs and the filters don't work because the companies that run them aren't interested in protecting our health. They're interested in making money. That's why they're putting all this money into making plastics, because they are interested in making more money. And even after you burn it, what happens with what's called ash? So that's what's left of whatever you burn. So that ash is going to be filled with all these toxic chemicals, and that ends up in the landfills. So all we're doing is really taking trash burning it, and then putting it back into a landfill. And one of the things I want to talk about, particularly on this slide, is what's called dioxins, and that's common in certain types of plastics. Dioxins are a group of chemical compounds that are called persistent environmental pollutants, or POPs, and they're just like PFAs. They don't degrade, they never go away. Once they're in the environment, they're there forever. Dioxins are highly toxic and can damage the immune system, interfere with hormones, cause cancer, and even reproductive and developmental problems. Burning plastics can put dioxins into our air, our water, and our land. It's important that we don't burn plastic. We need to reduce, reuse, and recycle. We need to find other ways to take care of plastic pollution without burning it. And now here's Anna to talk about an action you can take on pesticides.
Yes, but before we do, sorry, Anna, before we do, I just have to jump in real quick. If you can go back to the slide really quick, I just have to jump in. Okay, so thank you, John, so much for talking about this. It's so important and it's so timely. As we know that with Biden's, all the push for the wonderful things and infrastructure and things, that there are millions of dollars available. So millions, or is it billions? I mean, we're talking billions. Okay, so companies are lining up to say, oh, I have an idea, I have an idea, I have an idea. So before anybody should move forward on anything, we need to think about, how is this going to affect health? And would you want your child, your grandchild, or you to live next to these plants? So there should be no rush. When people say, you need to do it now, or, we might lose the money, we need to go for some solution. I would caution and say we need to hold off on this. And that's what we do at Clearing for Kids. We hold the line. We hold the line, and we are not, while others go forward, oh, well, what about this solution? Our first thought is, how are kids going to be affected by this? How are families going to be affected? How are people with asthma and pre-existing conditions going to be affected? What is the environmental justice in this situation? So we have a situation here, and I won't go into details today, but just know that behind the scenes, we are incredibly concerned about a waste burning plant of plastics that could be coming to our area soon. And so this is of high concern to us, because the company, it's something new. Oh, we're going to try this. Well, we don't want to be experimental guinea pigs, and we will fight this every step of the way. So please be assured. Okay, so now on that note, let's talk about Malibu. Okay, guys, in a second, Anna is going to have the floor, and she's going to talk about Malibu and this action. But before she does, Anna, I would like to ask you, how were you feeling when you saw the front page of the website for the California Department of Pesticide Regulation? How are you feeling when you saw that, knowing that it looks like, hey, everything is cool, pesticides, no problem, we have it handled? I want to know this because you have done a lot of work on pesticides. You are in the know about the toxic chemicals in pesticides, and I am super proud of you and all of us here working so hard. And shout out to other organizations like Beyond Pesticides, PAN, Pesticide Action Network, Herbicide Free Campus, and more, and all of the great people who stand up all the time. So Anna, can I get your reaction to what you were thinking? And you are so amazing. Anna's a fantastic project manager. She is so organized and on it, and she has perfect poise and composure at all times. She always has, just the perfect thing to say. But I have to know, if you just please tell us, how are you feeling? And then if you could talk with us about why this ban in Malibu is important to you, and then give us this information. So thank you so much, Anna.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. I know that we had just looked at the CDPR website. I think it was last week, after I think CDPR had an article where they were saying how to rinse off pesticides safely. I think the first thing that came to mind, especially after we spent so much time researching pesticides. We spent so much time researching the toxicity of pesticides and how detrimental they are, not just to like the environment, but also our health, to animals, to the air we breathe, to it being like causing effects to youth that they aren't unable to go to school, that there are toxic pesticides that are sprayed nearby schools, and how like we talk about them weekly on on panel discussions. And I like when Suzanne and I are talking, we are like pesticides is like an ongoing topic because like they're in products that you can buy at the store. Like they are on the fields of some of the foods that are being sold at grocery stores that we eat at. And so I think knowing that and like how long Suzanne and I have been like researching pesticides, I think what the word that we talked about was the website and just some of the messaging seeming so nonchalant. I think the reason why I say it was nonchalant is because these pesticides are still out there. They're still causing these detrimental health effects. They are still being used, and there's an abundance of research showing the detrimental effects. And so seeing that, I think, motivates me even more. And I think it motivates us as an organization even more to make sure that this information is known, to make sure that we are showing this information to the people at the high federal, the state levels, and at meetings, at important public meetings, and making sure that our voice is heard, that the research we know and that we see and is public to on the internet. There's so much research. And so I hope that we can use this to fuel us into making sure that what we know goes into effect at decision making.
For sure, for sure. So thank you so much for that. So what she's referring to, and I wish we had the slide up for you. So if you go to California Department of Pesticide Regulation, Anna can put it in the chat in a little bit, then you'll see that their homepage is just like a beautiful view. And nowhere does it say, hey, these toxic, there's toxic pesticides. These are toxic. They are banned in China and, Saudi Arabia and all of these other countries. And you can go on to PAN, Pesticide Action Network, and see the list of pesticides that are banned that are currently used here in the United States. Thank goodness that Biden banned chlorpyrifos, that the Trump administration brought back, that is a neurotoxin harming our brains. Thank goodness for that. And thank goodness that Florida is not bringing back aldicarb, which is a horrific pesticide as well that was tried to be brought, that was the Trump administration tried to bring back. So now we're up to 15 pesticides banned in the United States, while there are in the UK, over 250 pesticides listed, to not be used. You look at China has 51, and the United States now has 15. We had less with the Trump administration. And so that's what she's talking about. It's this like nonchalant attitude. So the reason that when Anna is going to share in a second about this Malibu ban, so here's the deal. Okay, so you're asking, why is this being decided at the Coastal Commission for California? Here is why. The same organization or same state agency, CDPR, California Department of Pesticide Regulation, that you would think, right? Like, oh, this is toxic. Nope, they don't do that. They are fighting the city of Malibu. The city of Malibu has not used pesticides since 2013. Anna will tell you about it. And so they are chemical free. And so they have an earth-friendly IPM. They use alternatives, which we've talked about before, and we can talk about again and again and again. We will on the, let me think about it, the 20-something coming up, like in 3 weeks. We'll talk again about alternatives to pesticides. Anyway, things that you can do, whether you're at school, whether you're at a city in the park or at home. And we've got lots of that stuff on our website. But anyway, the bottom line is that at the Coastal Commission, Okay, and the meeting will be in a week, but we have to get our comments in at the Coastal Commission. It is a battle between the city of Malibu and California Department of Pesticide Regulation. So they're battling it out. CDPR says you can't have a law more strict than the state. That is called preemption. So the word preemption means the state gets to decide and has more power than the city. Hawaii does not have preemption. So for example, when we worked in Malibu to stop pesticides there, so when Hawaii came on, the state, it's like DPR, but the state came on trying to strong arm the county of Malibu. The county of Maui. Maui struck back and they said, are you telling us that you want us to use more toxic pesticides? And the state person was like, kind of like took a back seat. They said, we don't have preemption like California, because we were on that call. So there's a huge problem when the Department of Pesticide Regulation is fighting to keep toxic pesticides. That's a huge problem. So this decision that is going to be made, and the meeting is like the 13th, the following week of May. The decision that is going to be made here is going to be a landmark decision. And when you hear about what our comment is here, so I will just, so Anna's going to talk about it in a second. So of course, she's going to tell you about an ESHA, environmentally sensitive habitat area. Bottom line, Coastal Commission says, hey, we can support allowing Malibu to ban pesticides in the city, not just at the city, but homeowners. Hey, use other alternatives. We don't want you using the things that are killing our environmentally sensitive habitat areas. But the Coastal Commission did not allow the Malibu to use the words biological resources. So when Anna talks about our comment here, and hopefully she's going to put that in the chat, a sample for you, that you know that when you're writing in to support this Malibu's ban, what we really wanted was what Malibu asked in the first place. Malibu asked to protect the biological resources. The Coastal Commission said, you know what? DPR, Department of Pesticide Regulation, is going to shoot that down and say it's preemption. That's never going to pass. So we're going to lighten it and say environmentally sensitive habitat areas. Well, to me, the whole thing is just sad. So what we need to do is we need to say, Coastal Commission, who is chaired by Steve Padilla, who is on the city council in Chula Vista and is doing some great stuff, and super, super happy that we've got some great people on the California Coastal Commission. But we need to protect our biological resources and our kids and everybody. So I hope everyone can write in to Malibu before tomorrow at 5. And here's Anna. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Suzanne. So as Suzanne was saying, we do have a sample comment to help email the California Coastal Commission to support the City of Malibu's pesticide ban amendment before tomorrow, Friday, May 7th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So the sample comment will read something like, Dear Coastal Commission, please vote yes on agenda item 9B, support Malibu's pesticide ban and plan to offer workshops on alternatives to pesticides for the public. The City of Malibu has a track record of success with its earth-friendly IPM, not using pesticides, being chemical-free on city land since 2013. Pesticides harm environmentally sensitive habitat areas, biological resources, and human health. Also, while passing 9B is a vital step, the Coastal Commission has a responsibility to protect not only the ESHA, but also the biological resources in order to fulfill its mission statement, which states, quote, the Commission is committed to protecting and enhancing California coast and ocean for present and future generations, unquote. So yes, this sample email is in the chat, and more information is also provided in the chat. So we'd like to talk next a little bit about pesticide drift, which describes the phenomenon of airborne particles of a pesticide moving and landing in residential areas, wildlife habitat, etc., where it was not intended to. So the EPA estimates that up to 70 million pounds of pesticides are lost to drift each year. And an example of spraying pesticide drift is dicamba, which is an organophosphorus pesticide. It has damaged or destroyed millions of acres of crops in at least 25 states, which was a huge financial loss for thousands of farmers across the country. And so as a result, these farmers sued. In June 3rd of 2020, a federal court overturned the EPA's approval of dicamba, and the ruling by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit found that the EPA, quote unquote, substantially understated the risks of the dicamba herbicides and failed entirely to acknowledge other risks. So farmers have continued to use it, but unfortunately it does lack sufficient regulation. So Cheyenne, do you have time to talk about some of the health risks associated with pesticides?
Yeah, sure, I would love to. Thank you, Anna. Risks associated with pesticides and skin, eye, and lung irritation, hormone disruption, brain and nervous system toxicity, cancer, blood and nerve disorders, birth defects, and reproductive effects. Here's Michael. Talk about pesticide spraying.
2,000 U.S. farmers each year get pesticide poisoning. Pesticides get carried home on clothing and the skin of farm workers, put their families and children at risk.
Yes, thank you, Michael. So a majority of the field workers growing our food are Hispanic, and people living in farming or rural communities. This is an example of racial inequality where Latino children are 91% more likely than white children to be exposed to the highest level of pesticides. And so also those that are of a lower low socioeconomic status, they do not have as much access to organic food, which does not use synthetic or highly toxic pesticides. And unfortunately, these do cost more than regular foods. Cheyenne, do you want to talk a little bit more about how we can be pesticide free?
Yes, thank you, Anna. To protect our water, food, people, and wildlife, we can stop using synthetic, man-made fertilizers and pesticides, go organic or natural, use compost or even seaweed. To protect our youth, we need to be pesticide free.
Yes, thank you so much, Cheyenne. So jumping off on that, I'm going to talk a little bit now about what IPMs are. And so an IPM is a tiered ecosystem-based strategy that focuses on long-term prevention of pests without using chemicals. It uses a combination of techniques, prevention controls, which can remove sources of food, water, and shelter. So this includes cultural controls, biological controls, physical/mechanical controls, and non-toxic substances. So next, while we're on the topic of Malibu, I'm going to talk a little bit about the Malibu IPM, which was passed. It was an earth-friendly IPM in 2013. So as a result, the city does not use synthetic pesticides or fertilizer on any of their parks, building, or lands. And the city council is currently working on banning all synthetic pesticides within the city limits. And next, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the City of Oceanside IPM, which was passed, but it does have some problems that we would like to talk a little bit about now, which would be that it does allow synthetic pesticides. It allows EPA rated 1 and 2 level toxic pesticides to be used. It only requires maintenance supervisor approval for use of dangerous pesticides with no training requirement for human health effects. It does not specify buffer zones, and it does not use enough signage or info on the website. So these are some things that we would like to have addressed soon. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit about the EPA toxic ratings, which I discussed earlier, which Toxic 1 would be highly toxic, severely irritating. Toxic category 2 is moderately toxic, and toxic category 3 and 4 would be slightly toxic and practically non-toxic. So next, we'd like to talk about the Step Up IPM, which it can be improved to be safer for children's health. So we suggest the Step Up to protect children's health. It is a step up from the Oceanside IPM, which was passed in 2020, and a step towards the goal of reaching an earth-friendly IPM similar to the one created by the city of Malibu in 2013. So this would list no synthetic pesticides, no EPA 1, 2, or 3 level toxic pesticides. It would require department director approval for the use of chemical pesticides and training in human health effects of pesticides. It would specify buffer zones and require signage and all information on the city website. So we do have some cities that have passed IPMs here listed on the slide, such as Carlsbad, Santa Barbara, Sonoma County, and we also do have more examples on our website. So Cheyenne, I know we're approaching 6:30, so to close this out, would you like to talk about how we can control pesticides without chemicals?
Yes, thank you so much, Anna. Here are some ways to deal with pests and weeds without chemicals. Rosemary repels ticks and fleas. Peppermint repels ants, mosquitoes, and spiders. Catnip repels mosquitoes. Marigold repels aphids and mosquitoes. Basil repels mosquitoes and houseflies. Lavender repels moths, fleas, houseflies, and mosquitoes. Tarping, goat's stream, and vinegar. Do-it-yourself weed spray. 1 cup. All you need is 1 cup of white vinegar, 2 tablespoons of salt, and Epsom salt, and 2 tablespoons of dish soap.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, guys. So thank you so much for all of the great information that everybody has shared today. And thank you to Yusuf Miller for being with us, Cheyenne and Michael, and Anna, our project manager at Clearing for Kids. It's a very busy time for lots of people because there are exams going on right now. And so we wish all of our interns and everybody working really hard and studying lots of luck, and we're sending lots of love your way. So I will stay on the call. People are welcome to stay on, or you can hop off, of course, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Now, next week, we have an opportunity to attend North County Climate Change Alliance workshop. And so what that is, we'll have the link for you there that you can join, because there will be some climate experts that we've talked to before, like Dr. Nominia Silva-Send. She actually looked at our climate action plan that we helped pass in the city of Oceanside, California, which made us feel great because we had no idling put into the climate action plan. So I love to talk with people about ideas for your city, just like we did about pesticides and no idling. So we can talk more about lots of good things, 100% clean energy goals and all of that good stuff. With that said, although we did show cities that had an IPM, don't be fooled. A lot of them are not perfect. So we saw LA on the screen and other ones on the screen. Here's the thing. We have to look carefully about what is allowed, just like in the city of Oceanside. Now, don't get me wrong. We're super proud that we helped the city of Oceanside pass the first non-toxic IPM, or I should just say IPM. And so as far as we know, no toxic pesticides are being used at all in the parks. We want this to happen in right-of-ways, and we want this to happen in every single city. So, but as Anna pointed out, there were some things that we needed to do. So we're pushing cities that have passed an IPM already, and you saw the list, to go to the next step, which is the step up IPM. So obviously we want everybody to be at the Malibu IPM if they're, earth friendly, not use any chemicals, not even have it on there. There is a clause if there's a case of emergency or something like that. But anyway, my point is there's a lot of great work that we can do together. We're so appreciative of you guys being here. I'll stay on, and John's here too. And if not, we'll see you guys next time. And that next time will mean that we'll see you for a regular panel discussion in 2 weeks. So we have a panel discussion every week. Next week, we're going to show video clips and things that we have done in the past. Because we're hoping people, even though we've got scientists and professors speaking at a kind of a higher level next week on North County Climate Change Alliance, that people can hop over there. And then we'll have some kind of a time when we'll be here next week. So I'll give you all that information so we can come back and talk and all that stuff if you'd like. All right. So have a great night, and John will have some people hop on to the Be Advanced panelists if you'd like to stay on. And if not, have a great night. Thank you so much.